Hello, YouTube friends. I hope you guys are having a good long weekend, a long Memorial Day weekend. First off, happy Memorial Day for all of us. We need to be thankful for those who fought and died for this country in all foreign wars. Um, my wife was actually yesterday at the Fort Snelling. We're in Minnesota. We're kind of close by to Fort Snelling, and she went there to place flags. Fort Snelling Cemetery, military cemetery, has about close to 250,000 fallen soldiers resting in eternity. And she was, I couldn't join her because I had actually a live YouTube broadcasting program, scheduled program yesterday, Sunday, May 29th. Today is May 30th, Monday, obviously. So I couldn't join her. So yeah, I also wanted to kind of chat with you um, a little bit about that, and also like a week ago on May 24th, the extremely tragic event of Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, where 19 elementary school children were killed along with two teachers. So I made another video that I think I did that actually a day after, on 25th, May 25th, I did that. And it kind of, it's really, how do I say, and it's, hard to describe those feelings. It's all very powerful emotions and feelings, a lot of people have. And I've been doing a lot of Facebook sharings about that. Um, I just want to kind of also touch base on that event. So the Texas school shooting, and today's being a Memorial Day, and also I wanted to address to those people, my subscribers, who are non-Turkish or Muslim American. So the reason I say that is this: those of you who follow my videos and who subscribe to my channel are aware of that. Obviously, the fact that when they look at my profile, I have a lot of videos in both Turkish language and English language. So I just also want to kind of a little bit of give you background information for those of you who watch my videos, who subscribe to my channel. So I am a Turkish American. I've been living in the United States now close to 34 years. Um, I have dual citizenship. I have U.S. Passport, U.S. citizenship, and also Turkish citizenship. And I speak, obviously, you notice that I'm bilingual. So I do have, in addition to these kind of stand-alone videos, like this one that I'm recording right now. In addition to those videos, I also have live YouTube broadcasting programs, videos. Those are typically planned and scheduled, usually bi-weekly, sometimes weekly, depending on the situation. And those are geared towards, specifically geared towards Turkish people in Turkey. The reason the motivation behind those videos is to be able to share with those people, with those Turkish people who are contemplating or planning either kind of entertaining thoughts or just kind of trying to learn about the life in America, or they're seriously planning to come here through some legal means. Emphasis is on legal means. By the way, for all of them, for all these people who are thinking if there's any kind of illegal immigration or legal status, you cannot hardly find any single person from Turkish Republic in this country illegally. They're either green card holders or they became U.S. citizens. Like myself, I became a citizen of this country in August of 2001. It was August 15, 2001. uh, just about a month, shorter than a month prior to September 11 attacks. So you cannot hardly find any Turkish person illegal in this country. I just also wanted to emphasize on this fact. Um, like I said, the motivation behind those videos that are geared towards those people is to be able to share with them, in general, life in America. That's what I'm trying to share with them. Anything that you can imagine, one can imagine. You can, there are lots of questions, right, about life in America. From daily things that we don't even think about in our daily lives, such as finding a rental apartment, rental property, how to buy a house, how to apply for a mortgage, how to apply for a car loan, how to do all those things. Where do you start? How do you go about and find a car and apply for a credit card, car loan, you name it, all those things, or how to choose a college, and if they're themselves thinking about going to college or sending their kids to college, and where to stay, where to choose, which state, which city, what other factors we need to look at: the climate, the crime, the employment opportunities, the population density, all those things. And you can imagine, those are the endless questions. We've been doing this program, this live broadcasting, for those friends in Turkey who are following our live broadcasts to be able to gain some understanding, some insight. Some of those people are basically, they apply to what they call green card. Green card is a visa type that the U.S. Immigration and Natural Services issues every year. They determine some quota for each country, and people apply. That's why it's called lottery. It's a lottery, and those who win the lottery, then they can start their process of coming to this country legally through this visa status. So, or some people are simply, wondering or planning or thinking about coming to this country as a student, which college to go, or as a tourist, or as an investor. Some people are having, some kind of business plans. How much money do we invest? Do we need to bring, and what are the procedures so we can make investment? Those kinds of, questions are abundant, as you can imagine. And what we're trying to do is absolutely free, just friendly. Is, I wouldn't call it service, a conversational kind of a friendly conversational mode that we're chatting with people. And when they actually join our broadcast, it is live, and they can participate by asking direct questions, and we directly try to answer and address their questions. So that is a kind of a live broadcasting. It's not like right now I'm doing, for instance, I'm recording myself, that I'm gonna go ahead and upload this recording to YouTube later, right? That's not it. It's live. They join at that moment. Whatever the questions they have, they type it in, and we try to answer. In addition, those questions, as we accumulate those questions, or look at what kind of questions they're coming with, and then I try to do standalone videos like this one, and I upload them and say, this video is about this or that. For instance, mortgage, how to go about the mortgage business, or when you make a selection, the city selection or state selection, what are the factors you need to be looking at? Safety factor, criminal crime factor, the criminal data for each state or each city. This part of the city is necessarily, it'd be better off from the crime perspective, safety perspective, or job search perspective, as far as the proximity of the location to like major companies or major highways, and all those things are factors. And so this is all, like I said, just a free, friendly kind of interaction with our limited number of subscribers from Turkey who are kind of interested in this country, coming and starting a life that could be student life, that could be a permanent life, that could be just taking their chances. So, why do I say all that is this? Some of my subscribers are not from Turkey. They are mostly from the United States, and they, I believe, when they do watch my videos made in English language, those are mostly on weapons, guns. So I am a gun enthusiast. I don't have to, I guess, reiterate that. But for those of you who are watching this video who don't know me, you might see my other videos, and kind of when you look at my playlist or my channel, you can see there are so many gun videos, and I'll be adding them going forward. So that's why I want to also make this additional explanation that I'm a gun enthusiast. I am a concealed carry permit holder, and I'm a proud NRA member as well. So, in the kind of videos that I make when it comes to guns, I typically either share, one of my personal guns, or sometimes I choose a topic. It could be anything. It could be, let's say, the internal mechanics of the Glock's safety mechanism. That's just an example. And I have actually one video like that using an animation, and I'm trying to explain by kind of freezing it, holding it, fast forwarding, sometimes rewinding back, kind of trying to explain the concept and how it works. Or sometimes a couple other animations I use on different kind of platforms. So basically, I'm just kind of choosing those topics, and they don't have to be always specifically on a certain gun. It could be gun related topics, that could be legal aspects of it, that could be safety aspects of it, and of course, needless to say, very unfortunate situation in this country, the school shootings or mass shootings in general. Like I said, the one in Uvalde, Texas, Robb Elementary School, which happened on May 24th, about a week ago, and also 2 weeks prior, almost maybe less than 2 weeks prior to that extremely tragic incident, another one, Buffalo, New York. Another sicko basically stormed into a supermarket, and then gunned down, I think, 10 African Americans, racially charged gun violence. So what I was thinking is today I just want a little bit of again, two things. Wanted to make this kind of introduction about myself, and then a little bit touch base, my thoughts. I want to share my thoughts with you guys, with anybody who cares to watch my video, who is nice enough and interested enough to subscribe to my channel. I just want to kind of share those things, and along with my personal opinions about the mass shootings and its general, the dynamics of it, the social, socio-psychological, and also more importantly, is what can be done to prevent those mass shootings, to protect our children going forward. So a little more information about myself, about my background is like I said, I've been in this country now close to 34 years, and I'm currently living in Minnesota. I am married for now close to 26 years, and we have one daughter. She is 20. She recently turned May 1st. She turned 21 years old. She's a student at University of Minnesota. She is studying, majoring in film studies and cinematography. Excuse me. So we actually moved to Minnesota about 20. right after we got married, from Kansas to Minnesota. My wife is from Kansas. She's a Kansas native. We met in college, Wichita State University, Wichita, Kansas, where I was majoring. I got my graduate degree, both undergraduate degree and graduate degrees at Wichita State University. I have master's degree in economics, and my wife was then working on her graduate degree in nursing, specifically clinical nurse specialist was the area that she was emphasizing and working on. So short after we got married in Kansas, Topeka, Kansas, that is, then we moved to Minnesota, and since then we've been living here in Minnesota. Um, I typically work in IT related industry. Typically, I do a lot of IT business intelligence type of contracts, data analyst, data scientist type of contracts. That's how I make my living. And like I said, I am a enthusiast, gun enthusiast. This is one of my, I think, and I would say, strong points as far as, I wouldn't call it hobby. You can call it hobby too, but one other thing I like to add to that is this. Uh, Obviously, the gun world. I mean, there's endless amount of information, the huge area. I am only trying to understand, scratching the surface to learn about the specifics of whether it's the technical or other aspects of it. And one other thing I like to mention is this: this country, especially the United States Constitution. That's what I wanted to a little bit chat about. Um, the only nation in the world which is allowing their citizens uh, legally protecting their rights to bear arms is the United States. There is one exception to that is that tiny little country in Switzerland where everybody can also legally own guns. That's another story. I'm going to touch base that later. But when it comes to number of people, which is about out of the population of 330 million in this country, about more than 100 million people is estimated to own guns. Those are all personal. This population is excluding, the military or police force, law enforcement. So 100 million civilians, and in their possessions, it is estimated, according to the NSSF, National Shooting Sports Foundation, according to their statistics, which is one of the good statistics that they come up with and they publish, about 438 million guns are in the possession of civilian population. This is obviously immense amount of guns, and there is no other nation in the world, by the way, even remotely somehow getting close to this number. There is no other nation. So when you look at that, when we look at that, I looked at the U.S. Constitution, and especially when you look at the Bill of Rights, when you look at especially the Second Amendment, First Amendment, and Second Amendment, and the gun rights, that I realized that you guys, when I'm saying you guys in general, you understand, have to do everything, have to fight in every bit of way to maintain the integrity and functionality of this Constitution and the Second Amendment rights, and do everything to fight against the anti-gun lobby with their actual known true agendas, which we all know well. I don't have to repeat here, but I will. Solution of crime, and trying to correlate that with gun ownership, is extremely futile effort. We all know that. And people should not tire to stop fighting and constantly either slowing down or stopping their efforts to take the gun rights away. And again, another typical example is especially after the Robb Elementary School shooting, which occurred unfortunately a week ago, that typical, like after each shooting, each school shooting or each mass shooting, we start hearing the anti-gun lobby, gun control efforts, their proposals, and like, who needs AR-15, who needs this, who needs that. We got to reduce, we got to restrict the number of rounds and magazines. We got to stop the, in their terminology, fully automatic AR-15s, which is, I'm saying that basically having a smirk on my face because it's the dumb, stupid word, as there's no fully automatic AR-15. All the AR-15 platforms are semi-automatic, but again, in their lingo, they look like badass weapons, rifles, and they're supposed to be machine guns, right? Machine guns. I can't say that, really, without getting a kick out of that. So things like that. And we also know well that today, if they say, when they come up with a proposal, a law, basically a proposal written in law, saying, okay, we're going to reduce number of rounds and magazines. It cannot exceed 10 rounds, like it happened during the Clinton administration, which is not anymore in force. So things like that, when they start making those kinds of applying those kinds of limitations and restrictions on gun rights, then we know that tomorrow it's going to be something else, and then day after tomorrow it's going to be again something else, until they reach their goals of basically killing the constitutional right of an American citizen to bear arms. That is their final and utmost goal, to eliminate all the guns from the public so public can be completely disarmed. Do I have to repeat here, why do they want disarmed or unarmed public? So, knowing this true agenda behind gun control that anti-gun lobby is trying to constantly push, American people, through powerful institutions, lobbying effects, lobbying efforts, whatever, must do everything to prevent this from happening. When I came to this country about 34 years ago, I was a student. I came on a student visa. And later on, after I, completed my education, got married, became an American citizen. And I started analyzing, started looking at the differences in what the Constitution of this country is offering. What is it talking about? Then I realized that when you look at the entire human civilization, when you look at the history, what you see is kings, emperors, sultans, dictators constantly control people. And when I looked at this country's constitution, I saw something uniquely and extremely different. It was the United States Constitution which was given the people the power. And that is through freedom. And the philosophy of it and the additional amendments to enforce, to kind of expand it and enrich it, such as the Second Amendment. And I noticed that this is the greatest constitution. This is the greatest constitution. And this country should not give in to those pressures coming from the radical left, coming from the extreme left, Marxist liberals, to eliminate all these guns. We all know the impact of and the function of the news media, which is completely and entirely controlled by the liberal, radical, left, Marxist, left establishment, which we also know not working for American people and for this country. The picture in my mind that I'd like to share with you is the radical left is in cahoots and working closely with the globalist elite. The globalist elite does not have or does not care about any kind of national value system. They don't have any other kind of any moral or otherwise value system. So the globalist elite basically is working towards one world nation, controlled by extremely small group of elite individuals. And their grasp and grip in these manners is extremely strong. And basically, through what's going on right now, currently globally, the NWO, the New World Order, that's what I want to bring also into the equation of this discussion. NWO, the New World Order, the position of the globalist elite and the radical establishment, extreme radical left in the United States, and their puppets, Democratic Party, Democratic establishment, are all functioning together and as they're all part of this equation. So let's tie the U.S. Constitution, and particularly Second Amendment, to this. The globalist elite do not want people anywhere in the world, to be armed for a very easy reason. They don't want any potential resistance from public. And I want to give you one little example here from history. During the Second World War, in the heat of the war, Japanese emperor ordered his top general. He said, I want you to go and come up with a detailed plan to convince me that we can physically invade United States of America. According to this plan, the Japanese troops were going to be coming, crossing the Bering Strait or Bering Sea, from Alaska, coming down to Canada, and physically entering the United States to invade it. General was obviously charged by his emperor, so he had to start working immediately. And he spent considerable amount of time and lots of work, prep work, research, feasibility studies, all that. And eventually he came up with a report. And this is what he said to his emperor, the Japanese emperor, this Japanese general. He said, my emperor, we simply cannot achieve that goal because once we get into that nation, the United States of America, almost behind every rock, almost behind every tree, almost behind even every leaf, there is a man with a rifle. That's what he said. This is a historical fact. If you don't want to take my word, you can search Google. If you can't find it and ask me to prove what I'm saying, send me a commentary on this video. I can send you the link. So, this is the fact. And the globalist evil or globalist elite, you're going to hear me sometimes using these words interchangeably. Globalist evil and globalist elite. These two entities, their utmost final goal is complete and utter control. Global complete control. And you can imagine when you're trying to control the masses, the whole global masses, the global population, would you want them to own or have an easy access to guns, come together and form resistance groups? You don't. You don't. It goes against the logic. That's why democratic establishment in this country, that are, in my terminology, in the service of the globalist evil, the globalist elite, they are doing their best work, not for the benefit of the American people, completely unrelated. They are completely not even seeing the need of American people, but they are in their position in Washington State, in Washington, D.C., serving their masters who are none other than the globalist evil. Now, today, more than ever, people should realize and understand, as the New World Order, the new globalist order, New World NWO, with its popular acronym NWO. In this world, I want to give you a few examples of what is really, what you can think of, what you can imagine in your mind, what kind of images should conjure up in your brain when you think of NWO. Completely, first off, unarmed people. 2, everybody's, just like every single appliance or device on the internet has an IP number and can be found and detected and located. Eventually, people are going to be like that. Everybody will be in the system, which is not going to be outside of system, completely controllable. The other one is controlling them through food. And also another concept which is also very much aligned with the Marxist theory of not having any kind of property. No property to be written to any individual. That includes not having a house, not having a car, nothing to your name. No house, no car, no field, no business, no property, nothing. Therefore, individuals' existence, individuals' life will be 100% owned and controlled by the globalist order, which is actually nothing but NWO, New World Order, with a single government controlling everything. In this manner, nations must be destroyed. National customs must be destroyed. National cultures must be destroyed. They are also against any kind of unique cultural values. People have different cultural values all around the globe. People are not robots, right? They have different cultural and value systems. Elimination of them is important. The universal human being will be created. One type, universal human being, that is under total command and control of the globalist evil or globalist elite, just like any internet controlled machine or appliance, whether it's a laptop, whether it's your smartphone or your car, or even any appliance, Internet of Things, any appliance will have IP number, will be connected to the internet, and everything will be on the internet, including now people. That's the ultimate goal. What is one of the biggest challenges, you think, to achieve this goal? 330 million population, the United States of America, an American people, armed American people. So, I repeat again, no matter what, no matter what happens, what you hear, what kind of tricks they're coming up with, what kind of things they're packaging, their evil goals and ideas, never stop fighting for your Second Amendment rights, guaranteed by the United States Constitution. These rights are not given by any government. These rights are given by God and guaranteed by the United States Constitution. No government has any authority to tell people to disarm. And their efforts constantly to manipulate people's minds through these kinds of events, the horrific, tragic events such as the Robb Elementary in Texas, Uvalde, Texas. Those 19 little children and 2 brave teachers, they paid with their lives. And they are capitalizing on this to further their agendas, just like what we saw the next day when the governor of Texas was giving us the press conference. And when he passed the word to his lieutenant governor, this jackass, whose name is Beto O'Rourke, barged in, what a huge disrespect, and start talking and start saying that the blood of those kids in your hands. I'm glad to see the lieutenant governor stood up and say, "You're out of line, get out of here, you son of a bitch. You got the audacity to come in here to telling us and further to push your agendas, political agendas, to Beto O'Rourke." That bastard had balls and audacity barging there because of his name, and he was a politician. Thank you, Mr. Governor and Mr. Lieutenant Governor of Texas, to get that bastard asshole out of there. These people, let me tell you this. Since Sandy Hook shootings, December 2012, it's going to be 10 years this coming December. 2,900 little children have been slain. 2,900. This is extremely preventable situation, controllable situation. People have been offering this for a long time, but not a single action has been taken to resolve the problem in that direction. What was the proposal? What was the methodology that they were talking about? What is it that they're saying to prevent this from happening any further? All they're saying is, stop making the school zones gun-free zones. With that sign saying gun-free zone, bastards like those, sickos, all armed to teeth, when they walk in, they know that there's nobody can stop them because nobody is armed. Therefore, those children, our little kids, are sitting in those schools. They're just sitting ducks, waiting. Basically, it's a lottery. It's a lottery. It could be today, Uvalde. It was Sandy Hook 10 years ago. And there's a lot more schools in between those 10 years. And who knows, when your kid, when he or she is going to school, and whether it's going to be targeted or not, you have no idea what it's going to be or not. because there is no protection. There is no protection. Oh, I'm sorry, there is. There is a sign saying this is a gun-free zone. Come on in. No need to be scared. We don't have any guns, they're saying. So that sicko bastard can barge in, armed to teeth with all kinds of guns and ammo. So if they put, depending on the size of the school, 2 to 4 police officers or private security officers, well trained and armed, or even volunteers. Volunteers can be retired police officers or ex-military people who are concerned with this situation. I know they would do. They would volunteer, and they wouldn't ask a single penny for it. This government can send $40 billion help aid package to Ukraine. Yet our school districts cannot afford additional security measures within their school districts, within those schools in their school districts. That doesn't compute in my mind. I don't get it. I don't understand it. So, if they can take those precautions, because one thing is known, look at this. Every single incident, school shooting I'm talking about, right? Without a single exception, when the law enforcement showed up and the guns start blazing at him, they got immediately stopped. They were shot, immediately killed, or they stopped. They tried to kind of change their recourse, but to no avail. They're always shot and killed. They know that when they start shooting, the cops will show up. Unfortunately, in the Uvalde, Texas case, for some reason they showed up and they wasted their 1 hour. They were waiting for their gear and their probably makeup material, and eventually took a bold border patrolman, tactical team agent, who just happened to be in that area. All by himself, he went in, he stormed in and shot that bastard dead. The cops outside, they were still waiting for their gear and makeup material. What an unfortunate situation. But can I really blame the cops? I'm having a hard time, believe me, to blame cops, because I have a lot of respect, first off, every police officer putting his line or her line on harm's way to protect the citizens. So don't misunderstand me. I have no problem with cops. And I have an additional, an extra amount of sympathy, actually, other than, unfortunately, that that time they wasted. That's a separate issue. But in general, what do we expect? What do we expect from cops? Since 2000, George Floyd situation in Minneapolis, which basically 30 minutes from where I live now, 30 minutes south of Minneapolis, they were burning every building right and left after George Floyd situation incident. And after that, we started hearing this: defund the police, and especially that Ilhan Omar, representative in Minnesota State, she had an audacity. That representative, Ilhan Omar, had an audacity to even say elimination of police department. After this whole defunding thing, circus, lots of police officers quit because there was enormous amount of pressure on them, and they just couldn't function. And then they were saying they were having extremely difficult time to recruit the new police officers because of the given situations and conditions, given the basically the extreme negativity towards police. They were almost, seeing the police as like a terrorist almost. They're the ones, putting their lives to protect the public safety, and this is how they think. Now, if you compare the police response times to 911 calls, if you compare it to, let's say, take a time frame before the whole police defunding circus, I call it, and now, there is a considerable difference, delays now, unfortunately, to 911 calls. Well, for obviously very logical reasons. There is either not enough number of cops, and most of that is the case, or because of the internal turmoil in the police departments in general, the coordination is not as good as it used to be. So, can we blame the cops? They've been coming down. They've been shitting on the cops, since 2000. BLM, Black Lives Matter, and Antifa. Those two Marxist organizations, terrorist organizations, they were basically burning. They burned lots of buildings. In fact, I have a friend, very close friend, whose elder brother has a coffee shop in not quite downtown Minneapolis, but kind of close to that neighborhood. And he was concerned. He was lucky that they didn't burn his store, his coffee shop, or cafe, right? He was lucky. But I remember seeing this. Many store owners, small business owners, either kind of around the surrounding areas of downtown Minneapolis, they were not sleeping. They all had shotguns, and they were watching guard in front of their stores. They were sitting, they put their lawn chairs with their shotguns loaded. They were waiting. They were defending their businesses. Those were the small business owner people. They had the people who had families, who raised families, just like my friend's elder brother, who has 3 sons, who raised all 3 kids, through that coffee shop. And they were coming and burning those stores. What was the reason again? Social justice, right? Those social justice warriors were doing this and basically burning a couple basically spent their 30 years building that business, and one night everything is gone into flames in the name of BLM's and Antifa social justice. And what is even worse is when that stuff was happening here in Minneapolis, Maxine Water in California, one of the liberal queens, she explicitly, I repeat, explicitly supported these people here, BLM and Antifa, to continue their efforts to burn those buildings. So now I'm asking you, I'm telling you, do everything not to give up on your arms, on your weapons. It is your right, given by this wonderful Constitution, particularly the Second Amendment, written into the Constitution as an amendment, to protect your freedom, safety, yourself, your family, your loved ones, your friends, even those you don't know, but you believe can be protected or need to be protected. This is so beyond my understanding that people are burning buildings here. They cannot stop them because in the name of social justice. And Maxine Water, sitting in California Senate, can explicitly encourage these people to continue their efforts to burn and destroy the property. How bad it can get? How bad it can get? So basically, tying this back to again, the Robb Elementary School shooting. the these incidents can absolutely be prevented. They're preventable. And I'm not talking about the long-term solutions to this. That means that it's starting with understanding the root cause of these problems. A sicko becoming, first off, becoming a sicko to the point that he can grab out, he can buy, AR-15 or a similar type of so-called assault rifles, and can buy lots of ammo, train himself, watch a lot of YouTube videos. Somehow, he finds ways to train himself and and go to school and kill a bunch of kids. Obviously, there is a huge public health, mental health problem here. Huge. And they should start coming up with serious resource allocation and budget, that is, to basically devote to this research to understand what are the psychosocial, cultural, whatever reasons that is causing, creating these kinds of monsters. What's causing this? But it's a long-term solution. Who knows how long is it going to take? And there's no guarantee if they're going to understand it or not. And even if they understand it, can they actually come up with measures to prevent this from happening? In the long term, I'm talking about. That's a long-term solution. Again, this is not a gun problem. This is a mental health problem. But even if they find a solution, let's say they find a solution 20 years from now, that means next 20 years, we're going to be losing our kids again in the school system because they're not taking any kind of tangible and meaningful, strong measures to prevent this from happening. As long as they keep the schools as gun-free zones, these will continue happening. So my offer is please, let's fight for this and convince people that they can eventually change their mind, come to terms with the reality, and reality is extremely ugly, and it's not anymore a political discussion, academic kind of exercise. It's not anymore any one of those things. It is a life and death situation. What can be done? How can we protect our children in school tomorrow, making sure he or she is safe from this kind of sicko? What can be done? Yes, there are solutions. Let's implement them. And who are standing in the way? Who are standing in the way to put this kind of implementation is radical left liberals and Democrats. So, that is basically that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, my thoughts and opinions and emotions about this matter. We need to wise up, wake up, and we gotta wake up and basically face the music. This is what's happening, and there is a considerable effort against gun ownership, and they're doing everything to make it possible. Who knows? Maybe these mass school shootings is part of the strategy. Maybe they're actually capitalizing on these. Maybe they're even encouraging these school shootings to be able to create sufficient amount of public opinion against gun ownership, and eventually people will say, hell, we can't take it anymore. We cannot see any more dead kids like this. God damn it, hell with guns. Get rid of all of them. That's what they're trying to do, maybe. Just an opinion. Just a food for thought. Why not? Let's be aware. Let's wake up and face the music and do everything to protect the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, and the Second Amendment in it. And never forget that what is the First Amendment? The freedom of speech, which is something a lot of people in this country is taken for granted, probably. All it takes for you guys, if you can travel the world or just spare some time and research and try to understand the status of freedom of speech, making a sincere statement, a little bit of a critique about the government or that dictatorship, whatever, you can be jailed in many, many, many places. That includes the country where I came from. People, enormous amount of number of journalists are in jail for telling the truth in that country. So when I'm saying freedom of speech, ladies and gentlemen, hear me out. I mean something. I understand the extremely beautiful value of freedom of speech. That your constitution is affording you that, guaranteeing you that freedom of speech. Without having tangible and meaningful ways to enforce it, freedom of speech is not there. Therefore, Second Amendment is the guarantee of freedom of speech. That's what I wanted to share with you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been close to 1 hour now. It's, I think, almost 57 minutes. And I want to thank you, every single one of you. I appreciate your time to watch me, to listen to me. And I hope you like and enjoy the content of my videos. If you do, please subscribe and like. And because I will continue my videos, both again in both languages, as I described at the beginning of my video, in both Turkish and English. And for the reasons that I described, I try to explain the motive and functionality of the Turkish videos, and continue also in English videos like this. It could be anything gun related, and other matters may not be related directly to guns. So yes, thank you very much. I appreciate, and stay safe, stay strong, and stay healthy.